Good afternoon, everyone. Peter, thank you. Good to see you. Thank you, Ben. Good to see you on board. We've had some really good news over the last couple of days with the restrictions starting to be eased in the States with everywhere except Victoria. But what I thought I'd do today is on that first Facebook Live event we did, we talked about content in a crisis, which is what we were facing. We've now changed, so let's have a look at how we work out of this event. What do we do as a small business? How do we change our content strategy? And I've got some really good research to share with you on this. So let's get started. Well, first of all, I'm going to have a chat to you about how you, as a small business owner, can adapt to the changing trend in what searches are taking place on Google and the web and Bing, and how they've changed over the past 6 weeks. Well, to start off, originally we were seeing crisis communication. That is that all businesses were closing, everything looked doom and gloom, lockdowns were in place, social distancing, etc., etc. But that's started to ease now, as I mentioned, and what we need to do is move forward with our content strategy because we see some light at the end of this. And your content should now start to reflect the new world that you and we are facing as a business. Content now should be changed to a more educational content style, as that style is starting to trend up, and that's starting to happen right now. Web traffic is up, engagement is up, search trends are up. People haven't disappeared, they are searching and seeking information. So we at Localsearch and what we do with our SEO team, we've changed the content strategy now to address those needs, shifting the content to more educational and less promotional in intent. Because over the next 4 to 6 weeks, as we start to move out of this crisis and we start to move towards the future, we really need to educate people on what we as a business have done. Useful search-driven content that informs and educates is now how we're going to focus as we tailor that content to match what people are searching for and what matters most to them. And that is the way to move forward now. So away from crisis and onto education. So let's look at how we as a business help and assist you as a consumer in the future. That's the way your content strategy should now start to aim. People are looking for information, reassurance, and trust. And now is a really, really good time to build your audience by informing, educating, and building that trust with the content that you publish. So how do you as a business adapt to this changing world of web marketing? It's difficult and it's changing so rapidly. It's really hard to keep up with it. So really the question you should ask is how can people benefit from your product or your service? Well, I've got some research for you released on the 17th of April by the Havas Agency, and it showed that 8 in 10 consumers in Australia believe that brands have a very important role to play through COVID-19 crisis. 78%, and these are Australian figures, not overseas, Australian figures, 78% have a stronger affiliation to brands and businesses who go above and beyond during this time of the crisis. The same percentage, which is 78%, believe that brands need to adapt their businesses to help the greater good. So it's not about self-promotion, it's about how you can help the community and the consumer. It's a very fine line between presence and positioning, with 2/3 of those people saying they would abandon a brand or a business that only acted in their own self-interest in this current environment. So that's a really important point to understand. So the message from consumers is pretty loud and clear. Now is the time to walk the walk rather than just talk the talk. And brands and businesses need to be going beyond business as usual and be seen to be doing something that is meaningful to support the community in navigating through this crisis. The survey also indicated that for the first time, respondents are placing more importance on brand behaviors that help others rather than themselves, ranking collective benefits such as acting with integrity as a very, very important factor. And 76% of Australians wanted authentic action from brands that don't exploit the situation. So being useful to those consumers is the key message they want delivered. So your content should be thoughtful, authentic, and more so as we move into the future. The demand for knowledge and solutions during the COVID-19 event hasn't gone away, but it has changed. We are experiencing a spike in search traffic, There's an increased demand for certain types of products, services, and solutions. And we've changed our SEO efforts to reflect that change in search volumes. We've changed our content strategy basically overnight. Now, we can identify trends with content depending on business type. That's what a good SEO strategy should do as far as content is concerned. And by doing this, we can provide content that satisfies those search requirements. And to date, it worked very well. And we're seeing a really, really good increase in impression share, click-through rate, pardon me, and organic rankings by changing our content style from crisis communication to educational communication. So your content should inform, it should educate, and it should provide positive solutions to consumers on how you as a business help them through this and into the future. It's very easy to get stuck on this pandemic as a business, and your business may not be affected by it, for instance. So we also need to take this into consideration, look at a content strategy or an SEO strategy for you. So what we do at Local Search with our SEO strategy is we brainstorm ideas on content. We look at how this affects everyday life. So when you're brainstorming in your company or you're brainstorming with us, think about how you can assist your clients or customers and tie that into your brand communication and message. So now is the time to be optimistic as we slowly start to get back to fewer restrictions. So give some thought to how differently your business will operate now and in the future. What changes have you made? What efficiencies have you implemented? How has your business model changed, if at all? And then apply this to all communication across your brand, product, or service. So, big question, and I suppose one that you're all asking is, what do you do? Well, do you slow down? Do you stop? Or do you pick up speed and take the lead? We know that a number of businesses took the idea to stop, which was the worst they could have done. And it's interesting to note that our clients that embraced a content strategy that we discussed with them have increased both in impression share and organic rank for their selected keywords and geolocation. Those that have not, in most cases, have dropped, and their visibility trend in Google has suffered, which means that now we are coming out of this trend. It's going to be harder for them to pick up from where they left off, because Google, in a lot of ways, has dropped them and has concentrated on companies and brands and websites and GMB pages that published content on a regular and consistent basis. Well, we want you to be in a stronger position organically at the end of this event. And to do that, we have to be proactive and lead by example. So at Local Search, we've taken the lead with our clients and with our SEO strategy. And we've gone back to the very basics to reinvigorate our SEO strategy. So what have we done? Well, first of all, we've looked at the basics of SEO. We've conducted technical reviews on our sites, your sites, to make sure that the ones we're working on SEO-wise have no technical issues that hold them back from ranking. There are no issues there like broken code, broken links, there are speed issues, anything like that. We've had a look at to make sure your sites are technically fine. We've done a content review of the sites. How often do we need to post content? When do we need to post content? What sort of content do we need and how often do we push it out? We've completed a very, very intensive on-page optimization audit. We've looked at how well your pages are set up from an organic point of view. Where we've found issues, we have fixed those issues and we've updated them and we've made them stronger. We've also implemented a more inclusive content strategy for our clients based on regularly updating both Google My Business pages and their websites. So pretty much the basics with SEO are ensuring that technically your website has no errors that would affect its ranking. On-page optimization is as good as we can make it, including the elements of EAT, stands for expertise, authority, and trust, a very important element of content for websites today. And Google uses that to work out how good you are at your job, how experienced, what your training was, where you went to school, all that sort of thing happens, and how experienced, how long have you been in business? It uses EAT elements on your website to factor in whether or not you are a high ranking site or a low ranking site. Posting relevant and informative content twice weekly on both Google My Business page and your website as either blogs or updated page content has also helped kept the site dynamic, which means that the spiders are consistently coming into your site. So they're looking for communication. And what we found is the more often we've posted during this event, what happens is our index capability is almost instant. We're getting things in the Google index faster than we've ever done before, because the spider is getting used to content being promoted and pushed. It's looking for informative, educational type content, and it's indexing it really quickly. So my take-home tips for you and your business are as follows. So we'll give you a list of this if you want it from our marketing department. First of all, content. Moving forward in the next 4 to 6 weeks, don't create content for the sake of content. Do maintain a regular publishing schedule for the next 4 weeks. That's twice weekly on your Google My Business page and on your website. After that 4-week period, you can drop it back to once a week, but maintain a regular, consistent publishing schedule. Don't be self-promotional or appear to be capitalizing on the pandemic. That's what the consumer doesn't want. Focus on your customer or consumer needs. Does your content pass the will this customers test? Try and get regular feedback on customer needs. Determine what you can say or what value you can provide that's relatively unique to your consumers or your customers. Review your scheduled content to make sure it's not inappropriate or insensitive. Be agile and prepared to change your content plan as the environment changes. I'm constantly, day by day, looking at what that content strategy should be, and I'm reacting to it. If I feel it's changing, if we post content that doesn't get the hits or doesn't get the visit that I think we should, we change the content style around so that we're continually trying to stay ahead of the curve, not behind, and not play catch up on it. Use research and data to support your content. Continue to develop and publish content that helps your longer term rankings in SEO. Regularly publishing content that has high quality content and not thin content will help your normal SEO rankings outside of this event. Regularly publishing content at least twice a month will keep your site dynamic. At the moment, we're in a different environment. Once it starts to settle down in the next 6 weeks, you can revert it back to normal. Let people know that solutions are available whenever or wherever they are, and how they can contact you and find out what you can do for them after this event is finished. Update and publish often. There's a need for content that informs, entertains, and connects and is educational. So, also some takeaways for you. Publish to your Google My Business page and your blog or your latest news section at least twice weekly, as I said, for the next 4 weeks. Then you can drop that. Make sure your Google My Business page, and I'll refer to it as the GMB page, it's easy to say, is properly optimized. It includes updated information on you, your business operating hours, and images. You can update it daily if you have to. If you're not sure about how to use your GMB page, Localsearch has a local SEO product designed to help you with your Google My Business page. And you'll find the link that has just been posted on that once the girls give it, and you'll be able to find out more information on our local SEO product, which is based around your Google My Business page and making sure it's well optimized. Not only will it help your local SEO rankings with regards to where you sit on Google Maps and places listings, it can also get you in that top 3 position by constantly posting all the time. They're the major takeaways that I wanted to share with you on this event. I know you've probably got a lot of questions, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up fairly shortly to questions. But I certainly hope this live event has helped map out a path for you for the next 4 to 6 weeks. They're the most important ones for you as we move out of this event. Of course, if you'd like further information, you can reach out to us, as we're here to help you from Localsearch. Now, before we take questions from the audience here today, I'm going to answer some questions, first of all, that we got earlier in the week that were posted by some people who were very interested in me answering these questions. So let's take the first one. This is to me. When you mentioned changing content, did you only mean blogs, or should I also be changing pages or building new pages? Okay, excellent question. At the moment, we're updating the Google My Business page. We're adding posting to the COVID-19 event location. We're also adding it into what's new, event, product, offerings, etc. We're using everything available to us as far as what we can use in Google My Business. We've even updated to a certain extent a small part of the local of your business information. If there's an event, like for instance, if your showroom only takes appointments only by appointment, you're not open to the general public, then we've updated the business information. We have kept the Google My Business page as fresh and as live as we possibly can. We've also changed pages. We've updated information on pages where relevant on your website. So on your homepage, for instance, we have put COVID-19 announcements. If you're open, if you're closed, if you've got limited services, we've put it there. We've also posted it as a blog content, and we pushed it out to Google, and we've added the special announcement schema code to it so that Google understands it's related to the COVID-19 event. Special announcement, which means anything in relation to COVID-19, business hours, changed information, updates, anything like that goes in there. The most important part, though, with your website is updating your blog. The bigger the site, there's a bit of a misinformation floating around where people think that thinner sites are better for Google. Actually, the more resources and the bigger your site is, the more chance you have of having a bigger digital footprint in Google. For instance, if you've only got 10 URLs on your site, you've got 10 chances to appear in the search index. If you've got 200, you've got 200 chances, which means your long tail keyword results are going to be a lot better than what a website with 10 pages. So updating all of your site pages, your blog, your GMB, and your social media as well. And let's not leave that out. You need to be consistent across all platforms digitally as you move forward. You mentioned, and this is another question, you mentioned reverting SEO strategies once COVID-19 is over, but when should you start to do that? As restrictions ease or way after? Good question. I think we're in the same really intensive SEO strategy for the next 4 to 6 weeks. When I think that we are in a position we can revert it back, we'll drop back to once a week. Then we'll go back to our normal content strategy, possibly twice a month. And I think then what we can do is get back to normal SEO. At the moment, we've had to change the way that we look at SEO. We've been a lot more intensive with content. But as we move out of this and search trends go back to normal, as businesses open, as retail opens, we'll get back to a more normal style of SEO campaign. It's not less intensive, it just focuses in different key areas. So I would give another 4 to 6 weeks before I'll be comfortable in reverting to a more normal style SEO campaign. Another question that came in was, my business is currently ranking well for certain terms related to COVID-19. How do I switch that to my normal terms? You don't have to worry about it. What will happen once the COVID-19 event is, just like any normal index or any normal organic result, it will slowly start to drop off other search terms place. So what you need to do is, once the COVID-19 event starts to move away, and which is why we started to say get onto educational content, informative content, it will start to replace that. If you have been active during this event, if you've had content being posted like we suggested many weeks ago, your position in Google will be a lot stronger than it was before you went in. As far as that's concerned, we've been tracking websites that have not been publishing content on a regular basis, that have basically stopped. For instance, we noticed the visibility trend in Google has actually dropped, where those websites that have been posting content regularly, their visibility trend has either stayed or gone up as their organic ranking is, which means that they're in a better position when they come out of this event to actually stay organically important to Google. Next question is, if I don't have a lot of time to spend on SEO, what should I focus on as a priority? Content. Absolutely, content. But make sure that content informs, educates, and provides solutions to your consumers and your customers. Remember, Google is one huge solution provider. If you give Google the best solution to a question or a problem, it will usually reward you by giving you a high ranking. So to answer that question, content, 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 and be consistent and publish regularly that content. Another question, I've been seeing more and more about dodgy SEO agencies. How do you know what you're going to be paying for is legit? Well, we get asked this question quite a lot, and I've come across this in my 15, 20 years in doing this job. And the one thing I always say is if somebody comes and rings you up and says to you, hey, I can get you #1 on Google in the next week or the next month, then walk away. There is no guarantees on that. We don't know Google. Google is a beast to itself. There is no easy solution to getting a #1 position in Google, and no one can do it. These are fakers, and they are also just going to take your money. The other question you need to do is look at the experience and look at the clients that that agency works with. Look at the standard of client and the size of the client. When you look at Localsearch, we handle a number of big clients. Those clients put faith in us to drive their organic strategy. There's no way in the world they would deal with a dodgy agency, and we wouldn't have them for long. So if you take Australian Skin Clinics, we have had that client for 3-4 years now, and they have stayed with us, and we've been nominated for many awards. So that just goes to the quality of the SEO work that Localsearch does. So to answer that question, stay away from dodgies, do your research, check who you're talking with, see what sites they've worked on, what results they've got, and only go with a legitimate agency, because otherwise you will just waste your money. Okay, we have some questions now. So I've got a question from Britt. Hi, Mike, long time listener. Thank you, Britt. I appreciate that. First time question asker, that's fine, Brett, please shoot away. Would it work if I refreshed old blogs to be relevant to the situation now, or should they be new? That's a really good question. Yeah, you can repurpose content, but beware of one thing. There was a website in the US a little while ago. There was a WordPress site that decided what they would do. They had a whole heap of old blog content that they wanted to refresh. So what they did, a bit cheekily, well, went through and just changed the publishing date. So they changed it from, say, maybe a year ago to 2 years ago to today or the last month or so. And what happened was Google went through and penalized them and actually removed them basically from the indexing. The reason for that is Google knows when your content's been published. It knows when it was first published, and it knows when it was first indexed. So trying to repurpose that content without making changes to it will only get you in trouble penalty-wise. So if you do want to repurpose content, if it is relevant to what's going through now, change it, add to it. One of the things that Google like is when you take content and you add to the discussion. So if that piece of content started or was in response to a discussion or an event, add to it. You can still post that content, but add to it. So update it and put it back on the site, and leave the original one in place, but post the new one, but update it. That will always work very well for you, and you will not end up with a penalty. So if that content's relevant, take it, reword it, add to it, but don't reach it in the same format. Hope that helps, Brett. So I'm just going to wait for a few more questions. I'm sure we have got quite a few. So I hope you found that informative. I'm just waiting for, you must have a few more questions for me. Or maybe I've answered everything for you in this presentation. So this was kind of like a follow on to that first one that we did. We were in crisis, but now we're more in a I guess a light at the end of tunnel scenario, and therefore we need to change that. So I'll just wait for a couple of more questions before we sign off from downtown Miami. I hope you've enjoyed it, by the way. If you have, please let us know. Also, by the way, if you're interested in that local SEO product, please contact Localsearch. We'll give you more information about that. Pete asked, here's a question. My friend posts images regularly to GMB, gets great reviews and stats. Is there a simple plan to capitalize alt tags and captions? Absolutely. Yes. The more often that images are posted, the more often you post content updates to your Google My Business page, the more you'll benefit from it. Alt text, by the way, for those people that don't know, alt text sits behind an image. Search engines have improved a lot over the years. Google now uses the latest Chrome version to look at sites. It uses that as a crawler. So it used to be mainly a text beast, which means it would look at a website, it would only see text virtually. So an image without alt text on it, without a proper attribute, would basically be seen as a blank space. It's improved a lot over the years, but it's still basically a text beast. So we add alt text in there to tell Google what that image is about. So if you've got a mechanic business for interest, and you've got a car up on a hoist and it's being serviced, then your alt text should refer to that. Here we have a car coming into service to Mike's Mechanics, and we're currently doing a 200,000 service on that car on our new hoist, which would be a good alt text, because it tells Google exactly what that image is about. And you can use keywords in that because it sits behind the scenes so that consumers don't see it. Um, Excellent. Alt tags and captions also on your website, not only your Google My Business page. So when you add your images in, you can add alt text into it. Also, another good way of getting images in the Google search results, and this is something a lot of times people forget about, is that you can also mark up those images with schema markup code. A lot of you won't know what it is, but it's a way of telling Google a lot more information about an image that exists on the front end or in alt text. So you can mark that up. And when you mark that up, one thing to remember that Google's now looking at 360 style images. Image indexing has changed over the years, and we now, as a matter of our SEO strategy, always mark up all images. You have seen big uptakes from Google in images that are probably marked up with proper alt text. They start to do impressions and clicks. So you have three areas really where you can generate impressions and clicks from Google. One is, of course, content and keywords. Second one is images. When people are searching for images, nothing better than having a image of your product, your service, your business come up, and a click through can be generated from that image. And of course, the other one is videos. You can mark up videos as well if you're using YouTube, etc. You can mark up that up. So you've got three key areas where you can generate impressions and clicks. And at this time and in this event, that helps if you can maximize every click and every impression, no matter where you've got it. Question for Michael. If I've just created a GMB, how do I get it up to speed? Great question, Michael, and good name. Um, Optimization of it. Make sure that all that information is complete. So everything regarding your business, hours, images, updates, posts, etc. Make sure that that is updated and is up to speed. At the moment, the reviews are still kind of on the back burner as far as Google's concerned because of this event. So they've put that on pause for the time being. But outside of this event, Google reviews are a good way too of being able to build quality and expertise with what you do in your business, because the more reviews you get, then often the better people think of your business, and it creates a lot of value with Google. So if you're in doubt, contact Localsearch and we can help you with our local SEO package for GMB. Make sure it's optimized. One thing though too, ladies and gentlemen, please take note. Do not cut and paste your business information from another source into your Google My Business page. You need to write a unique description of your business. If you do want to mention COVID-19 in that, please do so, but make sure you need to change it and take it out when this event finishes. But make sure you type it in. Google does not like copied and pasted business information in your Google My Business page. So write a unique business description. You have 750 characters to play with. Use it. Also, make sure you put your product in the product section. Complete as many of those sections on your Google My Business page as you can. Quite often we see probably 80% of Google My Business pages are basically bare bones. They are not completed, they are not optimized, and then people wonder why they can't be found when people are searching on Google My Business. Hope that answered the question, Michael. Question from Ben. What are the most important emerging vertical elements to be across for SEO? Okay, at the moment is content, um, along with on-page, good on-page optimization. When we have a look at what that optimization should be, Ben, we have a look at areas like heading tag structures, hierarchical heading tags, things that Google can easily find, easily follow, breadcrumbs, for instance. Giving Google a path, internal and external linking strategies are really, really important, along with a content strategy. When we actually look at on-page optimization, we look at several key areas. One is your heading tags, and the most important heading tag for Google is the heading 1 tag. That should also be in line with your title tag, which positions where your website sits within the Google search results. So for instance, if your title tag, which sits right at the very top of the browser, says, mikeandrewconsulting.com, for instance, then that's where Google's going to position. But I might want to sit there for digital marketing specialist. So that's what should sit in my title tag. It should also be in my heading 1 tag, because then the two provide a very strong organic performance to Google by duplicating your keyword in those key areas. Also, then your heading tag structures, we look at where the heading tag should be, and they should be promoting your product or your service, and that should be very, very high in a position on your page, not down near the footer. Like there's a trend at the moment to put products and services lower on the page and put about me at the top of the page. To be honest with you, Google doesn't care about you. It cares more about what service and what product you can assist the consumer when they have a problem. So we change the on-page optimization. Make sure you have an internal linking strategy. Make sure your breadcrumbs are clear so Google has a path to follow when it comes into your website. Spider comes in left and goes to the right because what it's looking for, and that's not the way it actually happens, but it's the best way to describe it. So what happens, it's looking for information. So it hits things on your website first. And if you make it easy for it to find your pages in your navigation tab, if you make it easy for it to find your breadcrumbs, if you make it easy for it to find internal linking, you'll get a better on-page optimization result out of Google. So that's that question for you. Pete, is the image file name an SEO consideration? Absolutely. I see so many. That's a great question. Thank you so much, Pete. For instance, and Pete's used an example here, if you have an image with the following path, DMC003456.jpg, that means absolutely nothing. It's much better to use a descriptive style in the path. And that would be, and Pete's got a suggestion here, which will be upstyle hairstyle.jpg. Absolutely. Please, please do not add your images as DCM005. It says nothing to the search engine. Always got to remember, everything you'll put on your website is crawlable. Make it as easy for Google as you possibly can. That answered the question, Pete. Question from Claire, how should I reply to a nasty GMB review? I knew that one was going to come up sooner or later. Yeah, very difficult. Google is an extremely difficult beast to deal with when it comes to reviews. We know that in a lot of times a competitor, a disgruntled client, etc., will leave you a bad review. Unless it breaches the guidelines that Google has for reviews, unfortunately, there's no way to remove it, but respond to it. Now, some research that came out of the States just recently showed that in America, a fair percentage of the people that were surveyed, and I can't remember who did the survey now, but I'm sure we could probably dig it out. It was only done just recently. Actually stated that when a company has 200 five-star reviews, they tend to distrust those reviews. They have a feeling that they've either been bought or they've been manipulated. When a company has a more natural review like a 4 out of 5 stars or a 3.5 out of 4 or 5 stars, they might have 200 of those or 20 of those. It's actually much more natural review status than having all of your reviews at 5-star. So Google tends to now, mainly the consumer actually tends to distrust it. So if you have a review on your Google My Business that says, you got 3.5 stars out of 5, etc., don't overly worry too much about it. Respond to reviews is most important. Now, Google will expect you as the business owner, not us as a marketing agent, to respond to those reviews. And it knows who's responding because of the way we log into the site. It's important you respond and you respond quickly. You must also respond positively. The research showed when a business responds in a positive manner and states their case and tries to help a consumer, that is actually much better trusted, if that's the word for it, than you trying to lash out and trying to respond in a most negative way. So always be positive, always try and reach out to that consumer, try and solve the issue and be very positive in your response, and you'll reap the rewards for that response. But make sure it's quick and make sure that you do it positively. Should my content focus in COVID-19 or should it focus on the general runnings of my business? Thanks, Alana. Yeah, good question. I think it's time now to start moving away from the COVID-19 message. As I mentioned, the phase we were in 2 weeks ago, was crisis communication, yes, and it was all about COVID-19. As the situation starts to settle now, as we start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, as we see the restrictions starting to lift, I think it's time to change that strategy, as I mentioned at the very start of this presentation, to move away from crisis communication and more on education of how your business has changed, what you've changed, and how your business can help the consumer when they start to come back into your business. What have you changed? So it looks at educational content and informative content. You can start to move away from the COVID-19 issue. We've started to implement that now in our content strategy. I do mention it in passing, but I've started to remove any mention of COVID-19 in that content now as we move forward. So that really now is more positive. It's more formal, informative, I should say, and it's much more educational on how we've changed our business to suit. So I hope that helps, Alana. There's some good questions coming through, actually. So I'm really enjoying doing these sessions because normally I'm sitting here looking at myself. Normally when I'm doing a session, I'm looking at a client or we're looking at people. So at the moment, I'm just looking at myself and just seeing myself talking. So it's really good to have some questions and be able to help you. Well, I hope that you have found this session informative. I hope that you found it useful. Please reach out to us at Localsearch if you'd like us to help you, if you'd like some information. I've given Sarah and Katrina a copy of what I've been talking about today. And with regards to that, please reach out to us and we're happy to in any way that we can assist you through this event. What I think is don't forget the whole SEO product. We can help you there. And we can help you optimize the content. One question we've got that I will answer. I have 4 different GMB pages and just want to know if I'm fighting with myself. Well, interesting question. Depends on what those GMB pages are. If they're for different products in different locations and you have a physical location that GMB is, no, you're not fighting with yourself. If you're doing it to try to trick Google to get a better position in Google Maps and Google Listings, yeah, you probably are fighting with yourself. We have a question here. I'll just answer this and I'll get back to Orbit's question. Are you part of Telstra? No, we're not. We're not part of Telstra. We're not part of Optus. We're part of Localsearch. So, Nirav, I hope that answers the question. Orbit, what I like to do with Google My Business pages is I like to make sure they're independent and they focus on different areas of the business in different geolocations. If Google finds you are trying to fool the system, if you're trying to create locations where there is no physical location, for instance, then you might end up in trouble. Only fighting with yourself if you try and fool Google, and eventually you'll get caught. So again, reach out to us after this event and we can try and help you a little bit more if you so desire. Okay, well, I don't think we've got any more questions. I hope you've found this helpful. I hope you found it informative and educational. Please send me a message via Localsearch if you'd like us to chat to you further. And if you like these events and you'd like more of them, please let us know that feedback as well. And we're very happy, I'm sure, to do more of these events so we can talk about more general SEO issues, etc. Okay, we've got another question. Fine, thank you. How much a part does SEO play in a successful Google ad campaign? And I forgot to mention too, you can start your Google ad campaigns again. Highly recommended that you start your marketing issues again as we come out now because we're coming out of it and you've got to be active. So, Ben, to answer your question, it plays a big part. Normally, a team will like to run a Google campaign on a website that has been well optimized SEO because when we go through the site, we actually optimize it for the keywords. We actually make sure that the value of that website, that keyword is relevant to Google. The more relevant we make the page, the more relevant the product or the service to the keyword that you're advertising, the better your Google ad result will be. So absolutely, SEO, SEM or search engine marketing or PPC, whatever you want to call it, work hand in hand, and they really do complement each other. Highly recommended. Another question from Pete. Great, keep these questions coming, guys. How does SEO view a generic PDF download? Info on COVID downloads from a excellent idea. I'm a big advocate for having takeaways from a website. First of all, when you add a takeaway into a website, you give Google something tangible to download and provide a consumer with information. The other thing too is that you get 2 parts of the cherry with this. You get the original piece of content indexed and you get the PDF And quite often Google will actually index a PDF higher than the original piece of content because it's a takeaway, it's a resource. When you make your website a resource and provide really helpful takeaway information to a consumer or a searcher on any particular product or keyword that you've got, is really, really valuable to you, and it will be. As a rule of thumb, every piece of content that you put on your website, if it is value, should be turned into a PDF. Highly recommended, Pete. I hope that helps. Well, I've had you here now for 45 minutes, so I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope I've answered all your questions. This is like an auction when we start to wrap up in the real estate industry. Well, last bid. So if you've got any last questions, please let me know. If not, we'll start to wrap it up now. On with your business. As I said, reach out to us if you want some additional help. Localsearch is here to help you. I'm here to help. We are here to help you. So I hope you've enjoyed it. We've got the thumbs up now. We're all good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. If you want more of these, let us know. I'm happy to do more. And take care and stay safe with your social distancing. Soon. Bye now.